I knew it.
Hello, welcome to Laird.
Hello, good evening. Live. A little bit late.
Thank you for hanging on for us. You know, I pressed all the good buttons except for the one that says start streaming. So now we're here. We're glad you've hung around. Thank you for being patient. And we just wanted to say hello and I hope you're having a good week. Jodi's been really busy, 16 hours a day lately.
Well, I got a new job.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
And I'm working with, can I say it out loud?
Sure.
Dr. Lewis.
Yay.
Who does our blood tests.
Yes.
And I'm doing some admin work for him. And he was just on
Dr. Mercola.
Dr. Mercola on Sunday. So it's busy.
Yes, you can imagine.
And I'm meeting a lot of great people and having a really great time. But yes, the hours are long right
it's a little bit crazy, yeah.
Bit.
So again, thank you for hanging on with us. We're going to talk about something very important related to what Jodi is doing.
Yes.
And the blood test that you've heard us talk about a lot before. But certain things that we want to relate it to what's going on right now. Okay, mm-hmm. So like when you go out right now, you think you're healthy. And then this thing that's around is catching people by surprise. It's putting people who they think are healthy in the hospital. And everybody's shocked. Why? What happened? Because they're not looking after their health. Now, it's not their fault, but they're guessing. I used to do that too. You can't guess about what's going on with your health. You have to know, especially with something like this floating around that we don't know who it came from or where it came from, right? It can be more serious than you think if you don't know what's going on in your own body. And right now, the only way to protect each of us is to protect our own selves. And the only way to do that is with a blood test.
Right. And I was thinking, it's not really about comorbidities. I mean, it is. But what if you don't know you have a comorbidity?
That's just it.
And what if that comorbidity is just major inflammation?
Right. Because, take, for example, so when you go and get a test for this thing, they put the thing up your nose and they say, oh, well, you've got it or you don't. Well, okay, everybody knows that test has been recalled. First of all, why are they even using it? Stupid.
They shouldn't be.
Numbers two, sorry, I'm getting a little hot under the collar tonight because I'm sick of this. I've seen someone die recently. A friend that I won't tell you where we know him from. And one in the hospital right now. I'm sick of seeing this. Guys, we're going to reveal some stuff to you right now so you can protect yourself because I'm sick of seeing this. It's ridiculous. Okay, so they give you this test and they say, oh, you're positive or negative. Right now we know that's not really the case. You could have it or maybe not have it. We don't really know. And same thing with your health. So any old diagnosis, say diabetes, that you go to the doctor, you have an A1C of a certain level and they say, you have diabetes. You are stamped now for life. You are a diabetic.
Not true.
Not true, right. You are on a health continuum. You have symptoms that show that you are on this diabetes type disease continuum, if you will. This is what Dr. Lewis calls it. And you can work your way back around that continuum. This is what we mean when you see people reversing symptoms and reversing diseases. So they dare you say reverse a disease. You're reversing symptoms because that's all they are. You can't reverse a disease because a disease is not real. It's a diagnosis. A diagnosis is not real. All it is giving a name to some symptoms that are not going away. That's all it is. You can reverse those symptoms. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so we're going to teach you tonight some of the underlying factors that cause a lot of diseases out there right now. Okay? Like Jodi said, low-grade inflammation. I had low-grade inflammation. I didn't know it. If I left it alone and never did anything about it for my whole life, it could have developed into cancer.
Could.
So I took care of it. And the only way you can do that is with a blood test. That's the only way. You will never know. Like we said before, people are in the hospital and we're surprised. Well, yeah, because you never went and looked at what your risk factors were and realized that you had low-grade inflammation, that you had a bacterial overload, that you had C. pylori, H. pylori, or C. diff. That's the other. Yeah, those are the two in your gut. That your gut imbalance was out. That's one of the major things, guys, is getting your gut in balance. Okay, you've got to get your gut healthy. And right now, tonight, we're going to look at 5 risk factors that are big across the whole disease continuum that have, if you will, warning bells for certain diseases, okay? And some of these are just, you never know it. I mean, some doctors will test for it and other ones won't. But some of these things are just sort of one of those, okay, so like for example, we'll talk about one tonight called C-reactive protein. What in the world is C-reactive protein? If you've never done an in-depth blood test, you may never know. But it's one of those things that the doctor will go, okay, yeah, it's in range and move on it. Because it's within this standard reference interval that they call it, that medicine will look at and go, as long as you're between here and here, you're fine. Well, you're not fine. We look at things a lot more in detail, and we're a lot more scrupulous about which numbers we like. We don't like a range of this. We like a range of this.
Right.
Because that's what tells us that you are actually well, not, this is the difference between you're going to survive or no, you're going to be well for the rest of your life. This is you're going to survive and you may one day develop a disease and you'll be over here instead of within here. But we want to keep you in here, sort of creating a fence within a fence, if you will, to keep you healthy. All right, so we're going to look at 5 risk factors.
Okay.
And these are all ones that you've probably heard before. Some of them you may have not, but we're going to start with the most common one. So first of all, what we're going to do is define each one of these risk factors and then show you, according to the blood test that we use on our Biologic Blueprint program, what it means and where it comes into play with what diseases you may be susceptible to. Okay. So first of all, what we want to show you is vitamin D. So here is vitamin D, and at the bottom there is, if you want to, by the way, if you're interested at any time, I'm going to keep that lower third, if you will, that little banner at the bottom. I'm going to keep that there the whole time because this is the banner we want you to use. Go to that website. If you want to talk to us, it's no cost, okay? The program that we have does involve some cost because we have 2 blood tests, 12 weeks of coaching, all kinds of fancy stuff in the middle. If you just want to talk about it and see, I wonder if I want to do that, the phone call's free, okay? I'll talk to you, we can book a whole half hour. You can ask all the questions you want. No obligation, just ask about it. My goodness, stop guessing about your health, okay? I'm adamant about this, I'm passionate about this because I'm sick of seeing friends in the hospital and dying. It's unnecessary and it's ridiculous. So let's go and see what risk factors are involved with vitamin D. First of all, what is vitamin D? Okay, so let's read along. Vitamin D is actually a hormone. That's right, it's a hormone, and hormones regulate cellular activity, metabolism, and related processes. Hormone D, if you will, is particularly involved in regulating cellular division. When vitamin D is produced on our skin, it is through the action of sunlight on cholesterol, underscoring the importance of cholesterol. That's why we need cholesterol. If you don't have any cholesterol, vitamin D can't react with cholesterol on your skin and create vitamin D. Or that is, the sun's rays can't come down and react with cholesterol. Also, vitamin D supplements are just D3 or D2, while on our skin, many types of vitamin D are produced. So there's D2, there's D3, D4, D5. Who's ever heard of those? Vitamin D recommended limits are for bone health only. Vitamin D through calcitriol, formed in the liver, helps with calcium absorption. Numerous studies show that vitamin D has anti-cancer properties at levels of 55 nanograms per milliliter or more. A level that is too high, that is 100 nanograms per milliliter, may impact calcium balance. The best sources of calcium are through sensible sun exposure and cod liver oil, which contains the natural forms of vitamin D, and optimum value is between 55 and 100. Now, you see at the bottom there, it says you and this little line. That's me. This is my test I'm going to show you tonight. All these tests are from my blood. And these green goalposts are where you want to be. And I'm barely into the left, the minimum goalpost. So I could use some more vitamin D.
Which was, this test was, though, in January.
Right.
So you have upped your vitamin D since then. So I would imagine that you're doing very well right now with your vitamin D.
And if I didn't, here's what I'd be at risk of. So here we go. So this is the report you get when you do our program. This is from Dr. Lewis. So he has all these risk factors. So all these numbers in the middle, you see up the top there, glucose, A1C, insulin, I'm going up at the top row, glycerides, uric acid. So all of those markers in your blood give you a risk for, on the right, diabetes. Go to the next row. So white blood cell count, red blood cell distribution width, neutrophils, C-reactive protein, homocysteine. All of those factors are involved in heart disease risk. So if you go down, I've circled where vitamin D comes into play, and you can see that I'm on vitamin D has a lot to do with cancer. It has a lot to do with pain. It has to do with respiratory illnesses. Okay, so now let's talk about this for a minute. That's very, very interesting. So these things are important because vitamin D actually has, move my camera a little bit there. Vitamin D is actually all over the body, right? We've heard that, especially with the ailment going on around right now. That's why vitamin D, everybody's hammering on vitamin D because it's involved with all of the ACE2 receptors. There's a lot of ACE2 receptors, which this nasty protein hangs onto, in the lungs as well. So
Right.
you saw there vitamin D. What was one of the risk factors of having low vitamin D? Respiratory health. Respiratory health, lungs. We know what happens with this ailment right now. That's why vitamin D is so important, okay?
Right.
So it's important for that. It's important for the heart because vitamin D is also very highly, the receptors for vitamin D are also very highly concentrated in the vascular system. That's another reason. So this is how involved this blood test is, and it's a special algorithm that Dr. Lewis invented himself.
Right.
And it's actually patented. He's actually patented the thing. Not the blood test itself, but the algorithm that he puts it through to
Right.
determine these disease risks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a brilliant way to find out what you are at risk of and how easily to turn it around.
Can I give him a plug?
Please, go ahead.
So
yes.
here's what I've been working on this week. I'm working with Dr. Lewis. I'm doing some admin. What I've been doing all week is inputting people's addresses and stuff and ordering their labs. He talked to Dr. Mercola on Sunday about his algorithms, and it was the 55 biomarkers, which is what you just showed on screen.
Okay.
But what he has added to that is another 10 biomarkers that have specifically to do with what is going around today and the biomarkers to decide whether or not you may or may not be susceptible to that.
You may be one of those folks that, whether you're going to be one of those folks that's surprised if you end up in the hospital or not.
Yeah, so if
Right.
you want to go to his website and take a look around, it's right on the main page.
And what is that website?
Healthrevivalpartners.com.
Healthrevivalpartners.com. It's
And
a long
he-
website, but yeah.
Yeah, and he is still offering that test all through Labor Day
Oh.
weekend
Okay.
at a discount, I believe.
Awesome.
And it is fantastic. And some people are getting this test because they are have not got the vaccine and they want to see where they're at in order to decide whether or not to get it.
But we all know what's going on with that thing. We all know what's going on with that
Yes.
jab, that it doesn't work.
Right.
You know why it doesn't work? Because it was originally developed for what they call the alpha variant, alpha being the first one. It was developed to attack the first variant of this thing. Now we're up to delta. There's another one called mu, M-U. So there's all these other variants in between. You know why it's not working that good? Because it's like the flu shot. The flu shot is designed to hit one variant, and if it misses the mark, we all know this every year. Sometimes they hit it, sometimes they don't. And if they miss the mark, what happens? The thing doesn't work. That's why it's not working, guys.
Right.
It was originally developed for the first variant, not this one. And if it happens to mitigate some symptoms for some people, guess what? You got lucky.
Right.
You got lucky. And that's all it is, okay? So whether you decide to do it or not, we're not here to talk about that today. You can do what you want, whatever makes you feel most comfortable, okay? So we're not here to create division. In fact, we're the opposite. We want to have everybody, whether you did it or not, it doesn't matter. We need to lock arms, look at each other in the face, go, look, we're both still susceptible to this thing. What are we going to do? Who is really behind this? We need to stick together and figure out who's against us, because everybody's trying to pit us against each other.
Absolutely.
And that's not what we need to be doing right now. We need to be working together and figuring out who or what is the enemy, and work together, not be divided. Okay?
Right.
All right, so we're going on a bit of a limb here tonight.
But that was the
needs to
other
be
thing
said.
I was going to say is half of the people are getting it because they want to know if they should get the vaccine. The other half of the people are getting this test from Dr. Lewis with the COVID markers because they are deciding what happened after they got the jab and if they have more inflammation than they used to have.
Right.
So
Yeah.
really
So
great.
inflammation is really the key, and that's what these markers show. Here's another one that causes inflammation, speaking of which. This is insulin. You've heard of insulin. We usually relate it to diabetes and sugar and that kind of thing, and you're kind of on track if you think that. So let's read exactly what it is. Insulin is, here we go again, it's like vitamin D, it's a hormone.
What?
So get this.
Yeah.
So understand this. So if you have hormones that are out of whack, so let's say you have a thyroid condition or something like that, right? So the whole endocrine system, which is your hormone system, is one cohesive piece, okay? So if you have one that's out of whack, the rest are going to be out of whack. So if you have vitamin D that's out, or insulin that's too high, you may have a thyroid condition because of it. Or if you have something literally wrong with your thyroid, which is usually not the case,
Right.
Unless you have thyroid antibodies that are actually attacking the thyroid, which Jodi has experienced. Sometimes it's just you don't have antibodies, but the thyroid numbers are off. And it's usually because there's a problem in the liver.
Okay.
And the liver is where vitamin D is made. Are you seeing the connections here? If one is out, the rest are out. That's the same thing that goes for vitamin B, the B vitamins, the B complex vitamins. We're going to talk more about that with something called homocysteine in just a second. But let's go back to the definition of insulin. So insulin is a hormone, the job of which is to maintain normal glucose levels in our blood. When we consume foods that produce a lot of glucose, i.e. sugar, insulin levels rise to remove these sugars. Our cells get what they need, but the excess sugars go into fat storage or feed cancer or infection.
Woo!
You eat a lot of sugar, expect infections. You always have ear infections, always have sinus infections, infections for this, infections for that,
And
maybe
we don't
yeast
mean
infections.
just sugar in the actual sense of the word sugar. We mean things that convert
to sugar. So simple carbs. That's why they're called simple carbs, because they have a simple molecular structure that the body breaks down easily and turns into sugars that are excess and unneeded. So they were talking about breads, too many fruits,
too many potatoes,
stuff like that. Right.
Rice,
white rice, yeah, all that kind of stuff, right? So we know these things. So this is what happens though. So if you always have battling yeast infections, this kind of infection, that kind of infection, take a look at what you're eating. An insulin level above 6, optimal is 2 to 6, implies insulin resistance. Heard that term before? And that occurs when you frequently take in more short-term calories than your cells need. You don't need calories, you need nutrients. Usually,
and it's not just about calories.
Right, and the simple carbs are those things that that create more calories. They're calorie rich, nutrient lacking, and so those things that are nutrient, your body wants nutrients, not calories.
Nutrient density versus just calorie density.
Right. Now you do need a lot of calories just to, burn off. A calorie is actually a measure of heat. And when you burn calories, that's literally what you're doing. You're burning something to burn. It's like firewood. So reversing insulin resistance is critical to long-term health. And guess what? The easiest way to do that is to change your diet. It's so simple. It also causes leptin resistance. Leptin is the thing in your brain, another hormone, that tells your brain to stop eating. And if you keep eating and eating and eating and eating, basically your brain gets lazy and goes, yeah, whatever, and turns off that leptin. You become leptin resistant.
Keep it coming.
But all it takes to restore leptin resistance is to just switch your food.
Yeah.
It really is that simple. Start eating broccoli instead of donuts. All of a sudden, in a couple of days, poof, all of a sudden your body goes, yeah, I'm full.
Right.
And it turns back on.
And so good fats.
So it's not that hard to turn around. In fact, diabetics, guys, I've seen diabetes turned around many different ways. With a keto diet, with a vegan diet, there's many different ways to do it. All it means is going back to whole, healthy foods rather than the processed junk. You don't need to be on like metformin for the rest of your life. You can get off of that stuff. You can do it. I can't do it. A doctor can't do it. Only you can do that. Okay? You're the only person that can do that. All right. So, having said that, let's look at my insulin risk. So my insulin was pretty low, which was good. It was like 2.4 from, between 2 and 6. So I didn't really have a risk there. As you can see, I was in the green. But had I had high insulin, I'd be at risk for, number 1, diabetes. Keep moving down there. Stroke, cancer below that, brain disease below that. So you don't want high insulin levels. It is very dangerous for several parts of your body, just like vitamin D, right? Vitamin D receptors are everywhere. And that's why it's implicated in so many areas. Now, homocysteine. Okay, this one's massive. Actually, no, CRP is massive. Homocysteine is pretty good too, though. Homocysteine, you may have heard this before, but let's go through and see what this is. This is what we were talking about with the B vitamins. The B vitamins. B for the brain. And here's why. Homocysteine is a naturally occurring amino acid produced as part of the body's methylation and metabolism process. Remember what I say about B12? Always take a multivitamin, turn it around, read the ingredients, and make sure the B12 is methylcobalamin. If you see that word methyl, you know that pretty much the rest of them are going to be good too.
And throw the folic acid out.
HRP.
Yes. Right. The high levels of homocysteine in your blood are recognized as a risk factor for chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's. What part of the body is Alzheimer's in? The brain. What did I say?
Also known as what nowadays?
Diabetes type
type 3?
3.
Yep.
Inflammation, infection, and deficiencies in vitamin B12. There you go. Methylfolate, which is B9, and vitamin B6 are associated with elevated homocysteine. High alcohol intake, some prescription drugs, diabetes, arthritis, and poor thyroid function are also associated with elevated homocysteine. How about that? High homocysteine is really a barometer for disruptions in metabolism. Haha, there you go. You can't lose weight. Maybe you got high homocysteine. Thus, the associated chronic diseases. For every elevation of homocysteine of 5 nanograms, no, wait a minute, nanomoles. I can't remember what that is. Anyway, 5 above your optimal. Your risk for Alzheimer's and heart disease increases by 40%. Low homocysteine appears to put you at risk for excess oxidative stress. Now, as you can see, we'll skip down to the bottom. I'm a little bit above what I need to be. I'm 9.7. I should really be within the green goalpost there, and I'm a little bit above. So what am I at risk of because of that? Let's take a look. Heart. My heart risk is elevated slightly. So is my kidney risk, and is my brain risk. So there you go. High homocysteine levels. Now, you can get methylated B vitamins, and sometimes that's what people need, because when you take regular B vitamins that are not methylated, your body has to convert them, but some people can't convert them, specifically those with a gene mutation called MTHFR. And so that doesn't allow you to convert those B vitamins, and so homocysteine remains high. And that's a problem. So you need to change those vitamins to get methylated versions. And actually 30% of the population has a methylation issue. So it's probably just behooves you to get the methylated anyway. And besides, it'll cause less stress on your body because your body doesn't have to convert it. It's already converted. So get methylated B vitamins. I'm hurrying because we got 5 minutes and I really want to get through this. Now, CRP. You may have heard what CRP is before if you've ever done a heart test. So here's what it is. C-reactive protein is an acute phase reactant protein that increases in response to inflammatory stimuli. So let me put it this way. If you have had the current ailment that is going around and you get over it, but you had a rough time with it, and then you go and get a blood test for the doctor for something else, you may show up as having a high C-reactive protein number. Right. Because your body has just finished battling something and it's still getting rid of the damage, as it were. So, importantly, our CRP will go up slightly with chronic inflammation. There you go, from any kind of ailment that will cause that. Excess sugars, a glucose over 85 milligrams per deciliter in your blood every day, continually from the donuts, increases inflammation in blood cell membranes, and CRP goes up in response to that inflammation. Chronic infection will also cause CRP to elevate slightly or moderately over a long period of time. So you can see how these things are all related. The sugars, the infections, the hormones, all these things are interconnected. Chronic infection will also cause, yes. So if you get acutely sick with the thing floating around, dare we say what it is, CRP will go up and then return to a baseline in about 4 to 7 days. So there you go. If you get a blood test right after, it's still going to be floating around in your blood. So generally, slightly elevated CRP is a barometer of your chronic vascular inflammation. So this inflammation in your blood vessels. Few doctors routinely measure CRP because it is non-specific. Like we said, they'll just breeze right over it and not pay attention to your numbers. So let's take a look at what makes you at risk for CRP. Okay, this one's going to blow you away and it's going to shock you that a lot of doctors don't look at this because look at this. It is implicated in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different disease states. Wow. Heart, stroke, kidney, brain, pain, and respiratory ailments all have a tie to your C-reactive protein level. This is something you want to look after, obviously. So there you go. There's one thing that maybe you didn't know about that is certainly a risk factor. And if you don't want to talk to Dr. Lewis and get a test with him, just ask your doctor. I want a C-reactive protein test and take a look at it. And then send it to us. We'd be happy to look at it for you. You can book just a simple, you don't have to go through this blueprint 12-week thing if you don't want to. Sure. You can just go to lairdwellness.com/coaching. lairdwellness.com/coaching, and you can just, spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes with us or whatever. Send us a blood test and say, hey, Scott, Jodi, what do you think about this? What should I do about this? It could be as simple as that. So you can do whatever you want. So this is what we do at Laird Wellness, okay? We're going to show you one more thing, but I just want to tell you one thing is that we like to help you out, help you understand your blood test. By all means, get blood tests from your doctor. Otherwise, you don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to read it and you don't trust your doctor to be within those, those smaller parameters to keep you in optimal health, send it to us. You have that right. You can send it to us. We would be happy to tell you what's going on. We're not obligated to talk to anybody. Mm-mm. We can talk between you and us, and that's it. It doesn't go to a hospital. It doesn't go to your health insurance. It doesn't go to your doctor. Nobody. It's between you and us. So you can take control of your health. You can have self-directed wellness is what I like to call it. Self-directed wellness. You get that blood test. You send it to us. It's between you and us. We'll tell you what we think. If you want a second opinion, go to Dr. Lewis. He'll do the same thing for you. But it's your choice. Guys, it's time we take charge of our own health.
Wow.
You see what's going on in the world. Our health is being taken over. Everybody's being guided like sheep into this stall, into this corral. And we're all being treated the same way. And one thing is coming after another. And guys, I encourage you to read Revelation. This stuff is not going to stop. And you've got to take control of your own health. And the only way to do that is to take control of your own health. And make sure that you understand what's going on and surround yourself with people who will keep it private and keep it between you and us. And if like-minded people, that's right. It's your constitutional right, guys, to do this. Don't think that it's not. Your doctor can advise you all he wants. He's a smart guy. If he's a good doctor, he is for you. He is not against you. I'm not saying that. He's for you, not against you. But he can't tell you what to do. We can't tell you what to do. Only you can decide what you are going to do. And if you want to keep that autonomy in your health, we would be happy and be honored to help you do that. All right. Let's go to the next thing. NLR. One last thing. And then we'll send you off to Shabbat Night Live. It's starting right now, but it's the preamble to the show, which is me anyway. So, you're either going to see me or me. So, no harm done. Okay, so NLR. Neutrophil to lymphocyte ratio. What is this? This sounds really complicated. Okay, neutrophils and lymphocytes are two different types of white blood cells. And the ratio between the two in your blood can tell you a lot of stuff. And this is just scratching the surface, guys. Dr. Lewis is working on something where this is going to be explosive. This is a huge thing. And anyway, I won't tell you anymore, but there's more coming from Dr. Lewis. So it has a proven prognostic value in cardiovascular diseases. So in other words, it can tell you what's going to happen with your heart. Infections, inflammatory diseases, and several types of cancer, including breast cancer. So long story short, well, let's just skip to the bottom here. Neutrophils, if you see there, about fourth line down in the middle, neutrophils go up in the presence of bacterial infection. So if your neutrophils are elevated, you have a bacterial infection. While lymphocytes are known to go down with viral infections. So in other words, if you have a low lymphocyte, you've got something viral going on. And if that is the case with what's going on right now, it's kind of strange because some people are getting high bacterial infections. Maybe it's not what we think it is. Anyway, and if you have both high bacterial, low lymphocyte, and there's a huge gap between the two, that could indicate maybe a risk of cancer.
And guess
without
what?
even having a prognosis.
We can do something about that.
Yes, we can.
All right.
Yes, we can get rid of bacteria. We can get rid of viral infections with some very simple things.
Right.
There are simple herbs that you can take that will reduce your viral load, that will reduce your bacterial load. It's not going to get rid of a disease. That's not what those things are intended for. All they are intended for is to reduce your levels in your blood and therefore reverse the symptoms. And if you don't have symptoms, do you have a disease? I'll let you answer that one yourself. Okay? You get what I'm saying, guys. I'm saying what I can without, you know what I'm saying.
Without saying it.
Without saying. Okay, so NLR is only indicated in one thing, but it's a big one. Cancer.
Huh.
Nobody wants that. Look after your NLR. Look after your lymphocytes and neutrophils, okay? All right, so guys, thank you for watching tonight. Very much appreciate your time and attention. And remember, if you want to talk more about this with us, we will be honored to help you keep your health autonomous. Keep your wellness your business, not anybody else's, and certainly not any government. I don't care which government. It's up to you. Your health needs to be your business, okay?
Right.
And we're here to help you do that. Go to lairdwellness.com/blueprint. Talk to us for 30 minutes, no charge. We tell you all about our 12-week program. You may say, that's not right for me. And we'll say, great. You know what? Next time you have an issue, have a blood test, come to us again. LairdWellness.com/coaching. It's really affordable. You can buy like by the minute pretty much. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, that's all you need. You will know what's going on. We're here to educate you so you know what is going on, because there's so much conflicting stuff out there. Like Jodi says, you need somebody like-minded in your corner. Guys, we're those like-minded folks in your corner. We're here for you. I'm sick of people going to the hospital for nothing, and I don't want to see it anymore. It's time to stand up and for everybody to have control of their own health. Now, if you would, please go over to ShabbatNightLive.com. We're going to talk about the enemy that we are really fighting. We're not talking about a government. We're not talking about the CDC. We're not talking about Fauci. We're not talking to anybody about that. They're not your enemy. They're all human flesh. We're all in this boat together called the world. You know who our enemy is? Satan. Satan is pulling the strings here, and you're going to learn more about what he's up to in the final episode of Satan, the Ancient Enemy, on Shabbat Night Live tonight. Tonight's episode is called The Woman Who Rides the Beast. It is all about Revelation. You want to tune in. You want to see this. Okay, trust me. It is a good one. So hop over now to ShabbatNightLive.com. Guys, again, we would be honored to help you. Go to LairdWellness.com/blueprint, and we will see you then. See you next week.
Bye-bye.